Look like a mudroom bit.
Alright. Superman glasses.
It's from Superman glasses.
I actually didn't really like
Nice
make me think of Superman.
Nice wood glasses.
No, I mean, I'm meaning in a good way.
I got the long face
Nacho
of
chips.
Superman.
Nacho chips.
Yeah, that was my lunch. Now I'm making up for lunch.
Oh, man,
Okay, we kind of
I
started.
do not miss eating at Sunway.
Joe.
I feel like
Yeah,
I
actually
miss
pretty
it.
sad.
Oh yeah, we got one comment
Yeah.
already. Hi, Joe says hi. Cameron joins. Hua Xiang is also joined.
God,
Hey, hello.
Right, what's young, you know,
God has left the chat.
We can
So,
hear them, man.
Huh?
Yeah.
Cannot hear them.
Unfortunately, it's not a video
they have the
conference.
chat. They have the chat.
No.
But they have to chat. But I will read out the chats for
Yeah, the
everybody.
comment,
Yeah. So and then
Where's the mic?
the mic is here.
But
Oh,
they
that's
can
a
hear
mic.
us, is it?
That's a mic.
They can hear us.
Yes, they can.
Oh, hello.
I hope so.
No,
Joe says hello.
I think
don't do that. Don't do that. Grandma
Yeah.
you
response.
can't hear me munching.
Well, actually, it's a quite sensitive mic, so I
Oh.
think you can hear like stuff like this.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess thank you everyone for coming. There's one more person who is supposed to be here, Yung Sing, so I will also monitor that. He is. Oh, don't take the middle lift.
Wait, he's stuck in the lift.
He's taking the
Take in the middle.
only even floors. Yes, okay, so we're in Sunway University and we can. There are 3 lifts and the center lift only goes to even floors and Yung Sing is in the middle lift.
Good. 10 for the incline the stairs.
Oh, he's in the middle right now.
Yeah.
The worst part is that you can't choose what lift to take.
Actually, I'm doing
Oh,
it.
yeah. Why so weird one, huh?
Yeah, no, you have to learn. So like when I studied here, we had one technique which is just you press both buttons and hope they open the middle and the right lift, not the.
But they only
Actually, no,
open
then-
one, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
only
if you
one
because if
comes
you
down.
press both, you're gonna guarantee at least one is the left or the right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Actually, the lift is pretty. Whoever that designed it doesn't know physics.
Don't say that way. After Sunway find out about this one.
Oh, I said that out loud many times already.
Oh no. Public complaints.
It's so funny. Never see lift design that way before.
Yeah, that's what I
Now
said.
you see that it felt pretty advanced when they installed it 3 years ago, and then everybody used the lift, and then everybody used the stairs in the end.
Did you have to take exams in level 8?
Yes.
Oh my God,
It's terrible.
that is
I had
Level
to.
eight.
I got here during exam season, and the lifts were all booked out, so I had to walk 8 floors up and down.
Oh.
Yeah, so the
That's
exam
my life
hall.
during your exam
here it is.
season.
Can
Oh,
someone
you
hit the
did.
exit sign?
Yeah.
This is grand.
Just press it. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, press it again. Press it again. Yeah. There.
Hello. Can you move in and then take that chair and you go
Actually,
there?
you go there. I'm not
Some more,
You
some
want
more,
to just
some more.
pull that back even further? Yeah, that will work also.
Can I waste food and just?
You mean they can see us also?
Keep it lah, at least. Some way
How they can
sustainability.
only hear us?
Here, here. So like
Oh! Hi!
Can you aim?
Hi.
Yeah, no,
Hi!
my head's being
Thank
shaved
you,
off.
my uplifting
So
chicken.
terror. What? This is
No, I'm
Facebook
good.
Live.
Yeah. Yes.
I was a
I'm eating on Facebook Live.
Yes,
Yeah.
you are.
Shoot.
Glamour. Okay, now
Are you
I'm
cutting out somebody? Or you cut
Now
out
I
somebody?
am.
Okay.
Don't exclude me, please. I'm still eating.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you're in the you're in the direction of the camera.
Am I?
So you can come in the
Why are you
middle.
using OBS?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm using
Since
OBS.
when did OBS look this advanced?
Now it does.
What? We have CPU usage
now we are-
meters.
Get a live
Wow.
stream,
It's
then
pretty
it's like live
amazing what
streaming.
you do.
I have not used
I don't know if you
OBS.
had studio.
No, no, studio mode has been done. It has
Yeah.
This looks like Sony figures now.
It's like Inception.
Oh,
Inception.
Okay,
Okay, go back to the chat and see what.
look at
Hello
okay.
guys, Joe says.
Live
Okay.
stream
Okay.
video.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, updates in person.
Yeah.
Yeah. So normally what you do is that it's like every 5 minutes you look at the
Hi,
chat.
you
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
Whose leg is jutting out from the side
Why
of the screen?
Yeah, what?
Oh,
Yours
that
is
is one.
Oh.
It's a guest who's
Why
also
It's a
a
guess.
guest.
Why I?
It's
Why I?
observer. It's observer.
Y-I-H
Yes.
F
F-O-O-N-G.
O-O-N-G.
Okay, okay, so we should go all at one, like just 1 minute introduction. The last time we did like alpha meets or like as in like non-gaming meets, everybody took 5 minutes, and by the time we finished everything, it was time to go.
Not 1 minute.
50 seconds.
20 seconds.
20 seconds.
Say your name. Are you a designer? And
I guess that
game. No, name. Are you a designer? What is your latest game? What you here for today? Done. 20 seconds. Just one sentence. Don't extend.
Where is that?
Here.
Hi, I'm Yong, and
you
when
can
I
talk
look
to
at
us,
look
yes.
at hi, I'm Yong. Nice to meet you guys. I'm a designer, and I'm here to chat.
Cool.
Hi, I'm Ephone. I'm an aspiring designer, and I'm here to observe.
Hi, I'm Chong Kiat. I'm not a designer yet.
Yeah.
But soon to be.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. I'm Choon Ean, and I'm a designer.
Yay.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Ben. I'm a designer. I'm here to. I actually have no idea what we're here to talk about. Other than
Yeah.
yeah, we just put in a topic.
Design.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Jen.
So, and my name's Jian. I guess I am also a designer by unpublished games, but I've been involved with Tabletop. And I called for this meeting because there were earlier calls for to talk about how we can enhance community interaction in TTGDMY. We've got like some experienced designers. We've got people who want to try to design games, and how can we meet halfway in between that? We like. So, and also later I also may want to talk about I want to talk about incorporating TTGDMY as a registered society, which is a big thing. So I also wanted to solicit opinions and start the ball rolling on that. But have all of you seen that very long thread?
More or less.
The
More or
one
less,
that
right?
was asking about the discussions.
Yeah. So what do you think about that trade? Like, do you think there's certainly a lot of frustration in there? I don't know if you shared those frustrations, or if you have any ideas of how we can improve the community. I mean, this is the time to actually bring forward love. Anybody want to start first?
How about for the sake of this session, we summarize. So I don't know. I don't know about anything here. I literally don't know anything about here. I know there were some frustrations that were added on the thread. I know this has been going for a long time, but I don't know what the topics are here. Do we have a list of things you want to tackle?
Not really.
No, right.
It's just that. Just two broad topics. That community interaction. There's one thread and one more constructive thread that people have thrown in suggestions. So, and then the other broader thread is what is that? Incorporating society.
Okay, so the second one is do we want to incorporate society? First one is what?
First one is how do we enhance community interaction that is inclusive to everyone, both at the more senior level and the more aspiring level.
Yeah, I remember something like this. Yeah, like any other people say anything else?
Maybe you could summarize the thread.
Yeah, like do
the
we start
content
with
of the
do we
thread.
start with suggestions?
remember
Do
off
we
my head.
suggest
Okay.
what's the plan? What's the game plan here?
Okay, so maybe I will go back to that old thread.
Is this the Asiam?
Yeah, it's the Huaxiao.
It's the Huaxiang one.
I will preface this I will preface this right now. We are going to be addressing some very sensitive stuff that's attached to some members of TTGDMY. We're going to try and avoid naming names. This isn't even about naming names in the first place. It's just that there were frustrations that were aired out, things that were kind of boiling for a long time. My question isn't about what the thread is about, because we know what the thread is about already. We know in general it's just that we are all we all aired out our frustrations together. That yes, there is a lack of sort of community interaction within what is TTGDMY lah. I feel like if we go back to the thread, it's not going to help much because we already know what's there, and we also
a background.
it's not gonna it's not even gonna serve as a background. I feel
if we don't do that, then we need to give a background.
Yeah, I feel like the background is that we are frustrated with community interaction. Maybe the question is more like, what do we mean by community interaction? And I know for a fact the thread is not going to help us define it.
Sure.
Because we were all pissed off that that's it. It's not going to help. So
how about issues that were raised?
Yeah.
Maybe pinpoint some
Yeah,
issue.
yeah.
Because I wasn't feeling frustrated,
Oh,
so I
wasn't feeling
I might not share the
maybe not frustrated
sentiment or
yeah.
understanding.
Maybe not frustrated, but every one of us has an opinion. Is more accurate, or like maybe some of us don't know what our opinions are on it yet. Like that's also why I'm like this also. It's like, are we here to ask each other what our opinions are, or do we really have like a proper problem statement? Because like tackling community interaction is a very wide. It's not a problem statement. It's just a goal, right? So, what's the real problem, lah? So
maybe the question is like, what is TTGDMY's direction?
Yeah.
What does it stand for? Who is it for? What is the platform supposed to do? And how do people come in from different entry points, basically?
Yeah, I think there's at least one question that was raised. Initially, Hua Xiang raised, what are the other 700 members doing, and what is the role in this group? So there's now 750.
We have like 800.
So in the group itself, there are 750 people. So I would say, I think the people that I'm directly friends with, who I've connected, is about just under 100. So I don't know what about you guys, but which means that if give or take another maybe 20 people, I don't know the vast majority of the people there, and I imagine that's the same for you guys. So if that being said, some of them might not be designers themselves, but still have a legitimate reason to be in a group. For example, they might be board game owners. They might have have been designers, but decided to leave, or to temporarily suspend themselves from board game design. They might be more producers or writers or artists that are ancillary to, who are secondary in the industry, not designers themselves, but
Cafe owner.
Say again? Cafe owners, community owners as well, who want to support.
Or just people who are just interested and they just want to see.
So for one thing, I am I do occasionally post up news that I think is interesting, but are there things other things that we can do to bring out people to talk, to be more open about the games they're designing, and just push things forward a little bit more. If you look at, I think Mark William, whom I've met once and tested my game in his house, suggested quite a number of things that Board Game Design Lab does. And I think you also mentioned that you offer to do stuff. I don't know.
You say Board Game Design Lab?
Yes. So there are international groups as well for designers. The one that I know is Board Game Design Lab, and maybe another one by Jeremy Stegmaier as well. I imagine Jamie, Jamie Stegmaier.
And we also
games.
yeah, and Facebook also has a bunch of ancillary, like you said, right? Ancillary groups are Worldwide Indie Dev, Global Game Jam.
Yeah.
These are all they don't look like board game focus groups, but I definitely go there to get my audiences, and I definitely go there for feedback. Even Twitter doesn't have groups, but Twitter is just a whole wide other side of the internet nobody knows about, where a bunch of people talk about board game and stuff. Yeah.
With that being said, I do want to hold a session on social media as well, so you can share our best practices, but that will be later in the year. Later on, but this one is just for more our internal good practices lah.
Is it better to say this more we're just casually talking?
Sure, we're casually talking.
We got no goal, because honestly I feel like if we enter with the hard goal, none of us here are going to be able to do anything. I'm also just I don't know what to do.
That's
man.
okay, we don't all have to push for something. The only thing is that we're trying to with all this being said, we're also I was also trying to engage everybody who can't be here. If you didn't drive down, then you will
be watching.
I'm sure that we also have what do you call it? We want to try to also engage our people who are in Sabah, Sarawak, or Johor.
Do we have designers?
We know people who are there.
We definitely do, yeah.
Yes. I think
I'm going to Sarawak in November. If you've got any duties for me, you can pass to me. But please, I'm not in the interior.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. We know the Sondo brothers are there.
Wait, the Sondo brothers?
Is it?
No, I thought it was just one Sondo. I thought it was just
one
Robertson Sondo Jr. There's a brother.
I think there is.
Oh, I also want to say, by the way, anybody who's watching a live stream, if you want to participate, your best chance at this is
Just type.
just type, but definitely ask questions, because that will definitely, like, we are like, I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm clueless as hell. So like, if you can give a question.
Yeah, we're not a panel.
We're not even a committee. We came here for the free food.
We didn't
man.
expect to be on FB Live.
Right. We were like, is this gonna be like? We were like, this is gonna be a mamak chat.
What free food? Yeah, this is free.
Is there any?
I mean, there was a whole container of yamak there just now.
Yeah, that's her.
It's gone
He's
now.
not. She's eating it now.
You want
A
it?
lot of
No, it's okay. No, I was joking. No, it's okay. But
Yeah. So I guess like, do you guys have any thoughts on like how do you feel about the society as it is now? Do you think it's enough? Do you think we can do more?
Do people want to do more? I think that's the question.
Yeah. Do you think we should do more? Like, I know you've mentioned that we may want to also try to do like finally do gamma wave.
Gamma waves.
So, yeah.
let's start with question one, because it will just
Yeah,
take a while.
Yeah.
Let's just start with question one, community interaction. Let's start with, what do you think of the state of community interaction in TTGDM right now? Community interaction as in people talking to each other and, you know, interacting. And do you think, can we do more? What do you think we can do to, you know, do more?
When we say interaction, we're talking about online interaction, face-to-face interaction,
I
phone to phone.
think
interaction.
Yeah, I think this is up to you guys to say also. Like, do you, like, the question is also like splits into like, do you think there's enough online and offline, and do you think that something's missing? It's up to you to talk about that.
I guess the question would be, are board gamers tribal? I mean,
No, we're sticking with the original. No more questions.
That's not-
I like, we keep on asking questions on questions, and we'll stop that here right now. I'm moderating.
Okay, go. Please do, because I've also got to do this.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Okay, cool. We have a format now. First question. What do you think of the community interaction situation in TTGDMY right now?
So I think there's a lot of different, we are all coming from different points of view. Like for me, I'm not one of the more active members, because I'm always busy, so I rarely really participate. For me, I am impartial right now. I find that there's interaction is interesting. Sometimes there's stuff to read. There's interesting articles shared. If I have time, I click on it. So I don't necessarily feel that it's not doing enough, right? For someone who is not actively participating, right? But it does get my attention sometimes because it pops up in my feed all the time. So I do know, oh, hey, this is happening, oh, that's happening, but I don't have time to participate. So I'm more of maybe like a lurker in that sense, right? Lurker. So as a lurker, from a lurker point of view, as someone who is interested in making board games and supporting the community, I feel like it's okay-ish. Yeah.
Especially for people like me, aspiring designers, or who want to get into this thing. I mean, they don't even know what to reply, and they don't even know how to interact, because
I need paper and
things
pens
can
for
get
this.
really technical and at times. So
Just came from Penang.
Do you have a
so we just kind of like scroll through the threads and everything, then we just read. Most of the time it's like that. It's not that we don't want to participate. It's just that
Do you want paper?
Okay lah.
you don't know what
we don't know how to
to
say. We know, yeah.
You don't know how to come in, right?
Yeah, we know where
Where's
to
your-
come in.
Community
Yes,
I'm
sir.
gonna
You want
ask.
paper? I can
Yeah.
get
That's why you can see.
Or is
some of-
Sunway gonna sponsor us paper?
Okay, I'll go get you paper.
on.
This
Yeah,
is
got paper.
Thank
Oh,
you.
no. Oh yeah, I got already.
Cheng Kiat, can you open the door as well?
Oh, I actually want to go dumb food.
Okay, sure.
Sorry,
Yeah, it's
You
open
want me
now.
to get paper for you?
Let's
and-
open the
doors.
Okay.
Oops. Oh, so fast one.
Yeah, like
It's like 1 millisecond to get out.
What is the correct one?
push,
Pull.
pull. God, imagine if we broke the door.
Live stream.
Okay, Ephone, go.
Local new member.
Okay. So Shez is also on the
Matches you too.
on the live stream. So do you know Shez?
I've not met him in person. Hi, Shaz.
Okay, so Shez is a lecturer at Saito University College at Newtown, PJ, and he's got a couple of games out. We've seen some of them. Not all of this is,
What are the games?
but then I don't think they're published, right, Shez? So he's got like a Jiangshi game, like
僵尸 game, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
Vampire
tried to
僵尸
do
Chinese zombie.
Chinese
Vampire.
Yeah, Chinese
jumping
one.
one. Jumping.
I think he tried to do like what do you call it, a social media party game.
Mhm.
So you have to post stuff or call people or prank call people. And he was also engaged by Log to do the Malay translation for Azul.
Azul.
So he says, do you think we need to segregate the TTGDMY into a few functional FB groups under the TTGDMY community?
Wow.
For example, game merch, public interactions, marketing exposure, art and design. So that's probably at least from a designer standpoint, if not a publisher standpoint, right? Because we are also indie publishers. There is a need for functional discussion, which we probably get into in subsequent meetings after this. And I think at one point there was some discussion of between Shares and Hua Xiang as well about putting together seminars and master classes, and she's like sharing knowledge as well. Although I think the funding structure of that might be questionable as well. But okay, any more comments?
Yeah, so let's pocket should we split the groups
Yeah,
to the
okay.
later on first. So we'll just collect questions over time like shares.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you said that new members, we come in and you want to participate, but you don't know how to participate.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add to that?
And we just wait, then we learn from there, I guess. Most
you
of the
just
time,
osmosis
because we don't know
it.
where to come in and we don't know how to interact. We know what to say, what's right to say, what's
I
not.
bring scratch paper.
Yes! Thank you. Oh my
Two
gosh.
pens.
Yes. Okay.
And the reason you can see some of them,
May I return the
they
pen?
just come in and ask those like, where do I find publisher and whatnot, and all these kind of questions. Not because they just want to ask these kind of things straight away, because they don't know where they can go to with these questions, and basically that's the only questions they know to ask,
Yeah.
like to interact with a group. They don't have any bad intentions with that.
I do want to note to the audience as well as everybody here, right? And this is I would say it's one of the biggest, I wouldn't say it's a problem. It's not a problem, but it is something that people forget about. It's an aspect of the community, which is that we're a community. And I do want to say, we are not a company, nor are we an association, not by any legal means, not even in structure. We've always been just a bunch of people who came together and we talked. Ever since our first meeting where we were just like, we just came together and we were like, what do we name it? I was like, okay lah, cool, there's 200 people under us, we must name it something. Yeah, like there's no, I'm going to say, right, like this is important, right? Like we have no stable form of leadership within Jen, for better or worse, is a great manager and a person who manages our Facebook group. Gray is as well also there. We have a bunch of legacy figures as well. I'm there a lot. We have a lot of people who are there who are like stable members, right? Like I'm not manager, I'm just stable member. Like even moderating right now, this is just me because who else is gonna moderate? Like like we have no stable leadership, and I feel like it's an aspect we all forget about because TTGDMY doesn't function in the sense of it's a company, nor is it like it doesn't function as a company. It's not a building where you can go and demand services. It doesn't really work that way. We've never really done that, So when a person comes in, like a new member comes in and asks a question, their question is valid as well because it's just hey man, like 800 people here, can I ask 800 people a question? Like it's very valid, ma.
Yellow. It's just like a social interaction.
But like let's go first. Like I've thoughts others to share, but let's go through first. So like the question, like what do you think of the community interactions situation in like?
Maybe not everyone is not like available all the time. I think maybe not enough members, because you cannot compare with the global one, the lab one. And as I post at the group, the lab, the international one or 2 times, and basically I get around like 3 to 4 comments. So if you compare the scale between the number of members there and number of members in TTG,
we're actually better.
Yeah. So you cannot
So why publish international?
Yeah. So I want to add on to this also. This is a dose of reality also. is that I frequently post games on international groups all the time on Twitter as well. I do want to say, right, for a group that only has 700 people, getting 5 comments, and we don't get 5, we get like 20 every time on TTGDMY, because everybody will chime in with something one. Yeah, not everybody, but like we have a stable group of people who always chime in. I think the only issue is that we don't have new voices, but compared to like you say, right, international board game design labs, you only get 2 to 3 to 4 because everybody's busy there and it's actually expected. It's a culture that's there already. Not to say we need to follow that culture, but like we are actually on a pretty good ratio. I mean, if we look at the statistics, like, I don't know about reality. You know, like obviously the reality is that they're always the same voices, so it's not the best. It's always jian. It's always Samwise Mui. It's always Choon Ean. That's right. It's always Hua Xiang also.
I did
Shares is
occasionally
there.
post.
Yeah, Clarissa's occasionally there. I'm there sometimes. Yeah. So you know, though. That's just the add in there, lah. Sadly. Okay, no, I'm just kidding. Okay.
Which is okay. I mean, if we get more meetups like this,
Right.
then more people will get involved once they know what they got themselves into.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them, I think they're just because like us. Yeah, like us. Because just like Jen said, right, they're like not only designers, they're like different kind of people, like the art people and whatnot, and
Yeah.
publisher and everything. So they don't really come in, right, with like the usual designing interactions thing that we are discussing.
But like, are we on a consensus that it's okay for those people to be
Yeah,
there?
that should be a problem, right?
I mean, it's
Silent
not a
presence.
problem. It's not like they're causing trouble.
Okay,
That's the ultimate thing. So like, sorry, yeah, my voice is big also. Sorry, yeah, but like I do want to say like, yeah, they're not causing issues.
Okay, well, that's
Yeah.
true.
The only issue is that they're not there. But like, they're not there. It's not like,
But they're there.
yeah, like they're
Yeah,
not, but they're
just
not there.
observing.
You know, yeah, like it's like saying like our prison doesn't have criminals, but like our prison doesn't have criminals. That's not a problem. Maybe we're not making money as a prison lah, but like.
I mean, they might come in.
The
Sometimes,
criminals come
I mean,
in.
they might PM,
Prison.
I mean, they might PM those people who need help
Yeah.
publishing and whatnot. You know, when they see it from the group,
Yeah.
then they might help fund them or whatnot.
Mhm.
From there, they might not be around to interact, but that's what they might do as well. So with them being there is actually not a bad thing also.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when the right topic comes up, maybe the right person will chime in. So at this stage, I don't think it's an issue to lock out people and you know.
Agreed.
Okay, let's go through Choon Ean first. What
Go
do you think
through
about?
me.
Yeah, what do you think about the community interaction situation?
Your name is there.
Yeah, so fancy.
I actually feel that I've benefited quite a lot from community interaction in TTGDMY. I heard about it maybe end of 2017, beginning of 2018, and I don't remember the details, but I felt supported straight away. I think Jen, when I don't know whether I asked or he initiated, but the result of that, he sent Hua Xiang to help play test my game, like when Hua Xiang came up to Penang for Chinese New Year. So I mean, that was like, whoa. So like, I never met Hua Xiang before, and suddenly he just comes to my doorstep and plays my game and gives me really good feedback. So, and then from there on, I mean, I just felt that it was a good community. Online, maybe I only interact whenever there's something that I can relate to, or if I have a question about things. Like I think there was one time where I was like, where do you get those acrylic standees? You know?
Oh my god, yeah, I remember everybody. I remember when you posted, everybody got pissed because everybody was like, I also don't know where
It's
to
like
get.
where to get that?
Everybody didn't know
right?
what
You
to
know,
get.
and I mean that thread was quite helpful. So I mean, and in behind the scenes, Hua Xiang and also Jen, like they were sending me links to places that I could continue my search for different components. So, and I mean, it's been 1.5 years, or maybe a bit more than 1.5 years, and I feel it's quite nice to be. I mean, Yong Seng says he's not really really participating, but he's one of the people that I feel also has been there since I.
You're also consistently at like every
Yeah, it's quite
outcome
consistent.
meeting.
Yeah.
So this is what I do want to say on some people who lurk too much but say nothing is that people like Yongsen who are lurkers who say nothing, but you're at every event regardless.
Not every, but
I
he
try.
tried, yeah, and he hosts different events.
Yeah.
So I.
Yeah, like honestly, if you look at every photo, you're there. Like a good chance that in every 10 photo, you'll probably find one where you're there. You're like, hey, that's your thing.
Yeah.
So basically,
I'm
I
here.
mean, I don't feel any frustration. I feel a lot of satisfaction actually from the past one year, 8 months of being part of the community.
Yeah, I do think of all the games that have gone through alpha meets and gone through TTGDMY, I think Kaki Lima is the one as a case study, the one that is
Benefited a lot.
not just benefited a lot. It's a really good look at what the community can do if you
yes.
access it, which is that because you came after TTGDMY was formed, but a lot of us like Jian, me, Wasiang, we were there before TTGDMY was named. It used to be named something else. I completely forgot already.
Wasn't it BetaCon?
I don't know. We were arguing about it, and all aboard there were like 12 people there, and we kept on arguing whether it should be TGMY, TGDMY, or TTGDMY, and we talked about it for like 2 hours, and I almost slept.
The other day I said TTDI, I felt something was missing at the GDI.
Where is it?
It's like, eh?
Yeah.
It's so strange to say TTDI.
But generation-wise, I feel like Kaki, not even Corruptico, because Corruptico was there before.
Yeah.
I feel like Kaki Lima is the one game we like. There's definitely a list of others, but yours is definitely one of the most prominent ones we have. That's like came in during TTGDMY, published, and definitely benefited from TTGDMY. Yeah. So I feel like from what we have here, we are saying that community interaction is good. You know, it's not bad. So maybe the question isn't about what's so bad about the current community interaction. Tell me if I'm wrong, yeah? Maybe it's about how can we make it more. Would that make sense? You know?
Yeah, it's more. And one comment that is good to highlight now is Hua Xiang's comment directly in the chat. He says that he also feels that a lot of newcomers are kind of shy to chat, to post or put anything up, because I think earlier there was someone who mentioned that like they don't know what the rules
Yeah, you know
are.
You don't want to say at all,
Don't want to
actually.
say, yeah.
There were rules posted when you join.
There are,
Yeah.
but like I guess it's not enough.
So the problem with the rules when you join is that nobody reads them.
Yeah.
It's buried in the
I
about
didn't
tab.
I
Some
did.
of it.
Oh no, I don't. So I don't mean
Yeah,
you
you're
don't want to
not-
read
you're
them, but I
not-
mean
Okay.
it's not pressed to your face.
Right. Which
Like
is
when you
nice.
join, it's not. Which is nice, right? No one's gonna but that's also the thing, right? No one's gonna read through 10 paragraphs of text because it's nice that you
Or
don't
remember,
need to.
maybe they read through but they
Yeah,
don't
I
remember.
was like, I'll be real.
True
I
that.
was there
Very
when
true.
those rules were written. I literally copy pasted some parts of those. Right, I don't remember any of it. I just know most of it is don't be a dick.
There were rules.
You can't. Yeah, no, there are rules. So one of the solid rules in TTGDMY, and I don't know if anyone remembers this, you cannot sell your games on it. You
I
cannot
didn't know that.
resell games
So
because
come on,
it's not a reselling group. TTGDMY is not a
Yeah,
reselling
no,
group.
you go but
Yeah.
bought games on the go.
I'm gonna say right now that I just said that, I'm not even sure if I'm correct, but I'm 90% sure we said no reselling because that's why we're not a Malaysian board games group, we're a Malaysian design group.
Yes.
Yeah,
we're
there are
a
a
board
lot
game
of
design group.
group like that make rules like that.
But is there an issue
So that's
like
normal.
that now? I mean, do you need to filter some of them out?
It was an issue before we became TTGDMY. The old version had resellers, I remember.
Is it still an issue? No. right?
No, it's like the culture has become that we're just
Yeah, lor.
designers. Yeah, we're pretty keen on. So
But the issue still stands on how to encourage
How to get people
more
in, yeah.
posting
Encourage
and like
interaction.
comments and
Yeah.
helping people becoming more open as
okay.
well.
So let's move on from the first question. So tell me if you want to say more, but is it fair to say that we're done with the question of the community interaction situation?
But anybody online
Or
who
does it,
wants
so
to say?
so let's take questions first right now for 5 minutes.
Or
Does
comments.
any comments or notable
Another-
interactions?
Sorry.
I don't want to hear my own voice, please. I beg of you.
I was just trying to read the comments in that video.
Let's see.
Never mind, Jen is already reading the
Yeah.
Yes. So
Ah,
one important thing that Joe said, Joe Fu of Bonding is playtest sessions are essential. Say if we want to initiate playtest sessions amongst community members, what can we do? So I've got I have an immediate answer to that. It's actually there's no formal way for people to like try to initiate an alpha meet, right? So it's right now it's just informally me asking people if they want to do an alpha meet, and then like once I have like 3 or 4, then okay, then it's enough to do a community thing. That's why it's also quite infrequent. And there's also the issue that like we're generally a roving so like we did go to different places so that you can also go to like different cafes and get to know like the different senses of how people play in their spaces. But that doesn't necessarily have to continue if you wanted like a more stable spot, like what Daryl Chow is doing down in Singapore. He opens up his now it's a place in Biopolis, so that one is now set at like first Thursday every month. So that's also possible as well. And what is that? But still, I also feel like some like Ken Wen tries to do his what is that? I've done my own.
Cameron's one is
testing.
so currently. So the question is, how do we? What was the question again? Can you repeat, please?
What do you call that? How can say if you want to initiate playtest sessions amongst community members, what can we do?
What can we do? So I will say this right now. So let's do it this way. Like we can do twofold. Me and Jen are going to answer what TTGDMY currently provides for that question,
Okay.
and then we will open it to the table to say what do you think we can do in the future. So. By what Jen says, the formal ways we have right now to do open play testing is definitely alpha meets. We do that on a bi-monthly to monthly basis, but definitely not monthly anymore. Probably bi to tri-monthly. Every quarter or so, we have an alpha meet session where everyone gets together and we play together. You can look them up on event page all the time. The only other playtesting event that's happening right now is A Good Day to Dice by Ken Wen for Role-Playing Games Malaysia, as well as Tabletop Game Designers Malaysia. But that's fully focused on more role-playing heavy games, not board games. So those are the two events we have. Any other formal ways for this? Is there any other formal programs you have for this? Yes or no?
No.
No. Okay. Let's move the questions to the table or to the 4 people here. Do you think there's a way to address this? That there's no formal. Do you have any opinions on this stuff, basically?
I just want to share my experience in getting Kaki Lima play tested by designers, not just open public. I mean, we joined 2 alpha meets, and then after some revision, I felt whenever I felt I needed a bit more focus, because during alpha meet sometimes it's everybody's trying to try so many games. You don't get the feedback that you want,
it's like a speed comment.
So there was one time where I asked a select few, and then Yong Seng opened up his office for us to meet there, and then we just I was really sick, I remember, but a bunch of TTGDMY members just came together and gave me what I really needed, which is a focused play testing, and then I remember I had written down pages of notes.
I remember this is when you're like high fever.
Yeah, I was really sick. but because I wrote down notes, and after that, it really helped me go to take the mechanisms or the different things I had problems with to the next level lah. So, but I mean, I think the group is open enough to say, hey, we would like to be there, or I need this, who can make it, or you don't need to open up a group. You can just ask a few people that you know that can give you constructive feedback.
Anybody else here have anything to reply to that?
Actually the idea for it came from Jen during I think the last big meeting we had, and I was saying one of the problems that we have is play testing, because as designers we need people to play test a lot. So one of the things that I thought about is, why don't we just host our own, because like Ian says, Alpha Meet is once or twice a month now. So probably if we are if we need people to test our games, then why don't we just offer a space, or get a space, get people together lah, right? It's like it's like looking for a party for a game like that. I need players, I did this last week or last week?
1.5 weeks ago, yeah. Right after the
Right after
that-
the last
after-
Alpha meet,
yeah.
so I actually met with Hua Xiang and Mike, and then he was like having, he was still like going through his game. The mechanics were still a bit rough, so I offered to him like, hey, why don't we test out our games as well? I need some feedback on my game, and he needs feedback on his game. So
I gate crashed.
yeah, he doesn't exactly get crash,
Okay.
but
Hi, I'm here.
I think it was through
Sure,
Hasyang, but anyway it was okay because it was just a small number of people. So I had a office space, so we just met up and then we just played. I think it's not I think anyone should be able to do it, right? We can just like post.
Yeah,
hey,
TTGDMY doesn't have a restriction on that.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a restriction on that, but I also
I think there's
feel
a culture of like a culture and atmosphere because like you said, right, like you don't know what to do, right, when you come in as a new member. Yeah. Maybe it's a culture issue. Any replies from you both? Any
So it's actually a culture issue. It's just that I'm just starting, so I don't really know what to say. I need to look around for a bit first before I figure my things out.
Yeah.
So,
Maybe people will feel awkward if you post a place tester, then nobody comment.
Oh yeah, man. Oh, I just want to say right, on that note, right, I've been hit by that so many times already. Nobody here wants to play role-playing games. You all are.
Actually, but you have your own like set of people, right, for RPGs. You got Good Day to Die as a whole lot of people.
yeah, but has Kenwen run? Okay.
Only runs it by Monday.
No, I'm wondering if I'm
Kenwen.
coming to you next, but I'm wondering if Kenwen has. Do you remember if he's run his gravity game at Good Day to
No,
Die?
he's only run it on his own sessions. He has taken the
own
initiative.
session.
Oh,
Yeah.
you just take it to.
Yeah,
Good Day.
because it's a 4-hour LARP.
It's like 6 hours.
6 hours
6
are-
hours. Every time you want to test your game, you say it's only 4 hours. Just add 2 hours, man. Be realistic.
Yeah.
Just yeah.
Like with that, can I just add one more thing to Alpha Meets as well? It feels like if you like it sounds like it's very touch and go, but maybe you also need to give like an expectation of people playtesting at Alpha Meets that it's really there for you to meet other designers, and then if you really want more in-depth feedback, then you ask them personally.
I do want to point out right now, when you say you do want to give, a forward and stuff like that, who the heck is you?
Whoever is the as in whoever is organizing the Alpha Meet.
Oh, you mean TTGDMY?
Yeah, lah.
Who is TTGDMY?
Well,
Right, God.
whoever
wants to meet,
organizes the Alpha Meet.
Hey man, the throne is empty. Someone get up there.
Because like it's also the case. I feel like if you don't know a lot of people in the group and then you post something and then nobody replies to you, you feel very bad, right? But that's also because like nobody knows you. So
Yeah.
it's easier for you to like bring at least a proof of concept to the Alpha Meet, and then like then you get to know like people whom you think will get good feedback.
So I do want to point this out, is that even though it's nice to say that, it is akin to gatekeeping.
No,
Because it's basically saying like, oh, it's not our fault that you didn't know how to do this, it's your fault you didn't know how to do this. So maybe it's more likely that, like, it's good advice, right? But maybe, but this has happened before where we had people post games and we keep on saying like, oh, maybe you should do this, you should do that.
Yeah,
when all they really wanted was like, we just wanted feedback. I'm not calling you out specifically, but like, it's happened in multiple situations.
Yes, specifically.
I'm not calling you out. I'm saying like it has happened multiple times, but maybe it's better to roll it back and maybe ask ourselves like, what can TTGDMY do to make it better?
who is
Yeah.
TTG?
But who is TTGDMY? Oh, Jian?
We are today.
I mean,
No, point taken.
I don't want to say, if we take this to court, the person we can blame is definitely Jian because he is listed in the admin board.
And so are you.
I'm not listed in the admin board. Who said? You go and check right now?
Okay.
I'm in the moderator board maybe.
Oh, what?
Am I admin? Oh no. Let me see first. I'll cry if I am.
But there's two things, right? There's a page and a group. Or
Yeah,
group
there is a page
belongs
and
to
a
the page.
group.
Yeah, but the page is just a public show. It's just to share news, if anything, I think.
But it's on news is shared only by admins. on the
Admins.
page, right?
Kaki Tabletop, Abdul Rahman, Justin, Gray. No, you are right.
Ha! I told you I'm a free agent.
You are a moderator.
I owe myself to nobody.
Correct. Ben, Sehui, Jared, and Nicholas are the moderator.
Buy my games, everybody. Go on swordsandflowers.itch.io.
Okay, so finally we get to your comment that you wanted to say.
Okay.
Sir not
Ah,
appearing
one
in the
message before
picture.
already. Okay.
Just try and just zoom it.
Okay,
let's go to the most recent comment that I thought of about the moderation versus admin, right? I've seen this done actually in other places. Have you thought of doing, if you don't want to put all the burden on one person and like Jen being stuck doing it, have you thought of doing like rotating admins?
Right, yeah.
Where you will actually be more inclusive, you actually intentionally select admins that are located in different geographical spaces. And every time they are admin, maybe for 2 or 3 months, it's their full responsibility over that.
Yeah, so...
And the RS can take a rest. Even someone like Jay who feels needs to control everything will have to still step back and let the other
I
admin
want to step back. I want
so
design games.
So
to do that. So you might want to
all
do...
want to design games.
Yeah, just put out a call for people who would like to volunteer to be administrators. Ask for people from as many locations as possible. I'm sure there are like Sabah, including Sabah, Sarawak. And then, you know, have a sort of like a roster. Maybe have 2 admins lah.
TWT board games and more. Tweet board games and more. Just a
Yeah,
rotary.
I think to have to up to you, like you do admin duty per roster every 2 months or every 3 months, depending how you think is better for that to work. Depending on how many volunteers you get, and then you can work from there lah.
How do you guys feel about this idea?
2 or 3 months is quite long.
Okay, and then once
Yeah,
then
same.
But the
everyone
concept, the idea, I think is good lah.
No, but I think it's a good idea also. I think Clarissa also
I haven't
highlighted.
finished my comments yet.
Oh really?
I didn't
Okay.
ask you also, I asked
But
them.
the moderator,
Let them
Okay,
you know,
okay.
jumped.
I still,
Sorry,
okay,
sorry.
go back to
Sorry.
the earlier ones
Yeah,
that
sorry.
I meant to see. Okay, something about playtesting alpha meets. As a first-time playtester during the event, I noticed that it's uneven. In some playtesters get their games tested more, some were sitting on the side waiting for people to come, and the number of people who can playtest were very few. And we also have walk-ins who are completely, not forget about game design, they're completely newbie to the whole board gaming world. It's very intimidating for them as well. So it's like, you know, it's very hard for them to just suddenly sit down and play a raw game, especially when they don't even normally play a complete finished board game. So I don't know how you can actually you can elevate that bit a little bit more. Unless, of course, you want to host alpha meets in conjunction with, I don't know, do a full day festival thing with a lot of other board games, like simple board games.
We've done that. Yeah, we've
Yeah,
done that,
simple
yeah.
board games that to warm people up so they feel like they are actually moving into something more and more difficult. Because I noticed a lot of the alpha games, right, even if it's a simple game, because it's so rough, it's actually very complicated. I go through that with all my designers, even Sam started out like that as well when you're starting something new. So, and because you yourself, you're still confused by your mechanics, you're going to confuse the newbie even more, especially when you know nothing. Third, okay, finally, go back to the number 1 suggestion that I have is, I don't know where this is possible, but I've been thinking about it, actually in discussion with Jen, because one of the things we want to do with our board game is actually showcase it in the art gallery as well and do performance art with it. Whether it's possible for you to host some of your game testing sessions in conjunction with other board game events. Maybe people are playing other board games, but they can actually also test your games. But instead of forcing them to sit through your game for 4 hours and therefore they lose the opportunity to play other games, is it possible for them to do it asynchronously? So they don't have to be there from start to finish. So someone can come and pick up after them. Especially if your game lasts more than an hour. I think that's only fair. Otherwise, you won't really get the kind of testing that you need. And I think this is something that's worth trying out.
Yeah. So
Yeah, my 3 comments.
Okay, I'm gonna inject with some TTGDMY, the current era TTGDMY operations. Jen, you have to tell me if I'm wrong or not. Yeah?
Okay.
In regards to things like asynchronously playtesting and things like that, right? I do need to put this aspect in, and we need to remember this, which is that at the end of the day, again, TTGDMY isn't a company, nor is it an official association, right? At least right now. Yeah, I can't speak for it, but from a legal standpoint, it isn't. And from a cultural standpoint, we do have to remember that at the end of the day, designers do what they want. So the asynchronous playtesting, I can definitely see that happening in a formal event done by TTGDMY, but in an alpha meet, it will be difficult because, and this is something I'm speaking from the perspective of ever since TTGDMY formed, which is that alpha meets has always been just So Alpha Meets, when it was conceived, right, was this idea by Gray and Jian and the rest as well, of us to bring people around to every single shop in Malaysia or Klang Valley to try and spread TTGDMY's name as well as spread the board game design scene as well, so that we could later on work with vendors and events and locations and build a relationship. Yeah, it's evolved since then, definitely, but I think the one thing that has remained is that designers do what they want. So having to tell designers not to do this and not to do that, at least this is my opinion, I feel like that's not the right way to go. It's more like, what can TTGDMY do to assist and alleviate? So it's not about how can we modify the playtesters and the designers as much as how can TTGDMY like add in to, you know. So like a great example of this, I would say a very simple example is, you know, there's two methods here. Let's say you have a game in Alpha Meets. It is very, very difficult. Yeah. There are two solutions here. The first solution, if we want to do the asynchronous playtesting, modifying the playtest session, would be saying, hey, please lower your bar and lower your how you teach people. Yeah. But that's getting in the designer's way because we can't control their free will.
Yeah.
The way that I would say is better and a lot less non-interruptive, a lot less non-interceptive, is to say, just put a piece of paper there that just says this is a difficult game.
And state out the estimated duration.
Yeah, an estimated duration. So it's more about how can TTGDMY assist rather than how TTGDMY can modify. You know what I mean? Because we aren't like the TTGDMY is not the designer. The designer is the designer. Yeah. So I do want to point that out. Yeah. You know. Anything you want to correct me on here?
No, I think it's absolutely right.
Okay, cool.
We're really a collective of self-helping designers rather than a singular entity that's providing services.
I also want to say, right, metaphorically, yeah, and structurally, right, we are literally just a bunch of aunties sharing homeschooling advice. Yeah, I do want to say this. I've been wanting to say this for a long time. I don't think people realize we're just a bunch of homeschooling aunties.
We're self-schooling aunties.
Yeah, we're self-schooling aunties. We're literally a knitting group. You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Except that instead of like we show off our designs and that, you like my design.
Okay, I think we've spent enough time on the how to play test already. Anybody else got anything? Does anybody else want more time?
More time for what?
To
say
say
anything.
Play testing.
So I'm not asking do you want to say something, but I'm asking do you want more time to say anything here?
The international
okay.
group you guys say just now, the board game lab, right?
Mm-hmm.
They usually like attracting the playtester by saying like after the game being published, they will get a copy, a copy of.
Wow.
Because there's, let's say.
To tell you the truth, that's financially not feasible to give everybody a copy.
I mean the playtester that really pay through a lot of time because sometimes let's say the mechanic is come by your idea, and then you get a copy of the game. You feel.
But that one they actually want to put it on an international platform.
Yeah, so I also do want to say from that perspective, right? TTGDMY cannot help you in that respect because TTGDMY doesn't have the money. Nor is there people to do that.
Because they have more profit.
What do you want to say?
In Alpha Meet, people that come, they have expectation that the game is still in rough state. So
rough as hell.
Yeah, so people come there, the environment will be better. But let's say you want to organize a board game meetup, or then you let people play test your game there, or the environment will be not
very different.
Yeah, because people are playing the actual published game and then they going to play your game.
But Alpha Meet, we don't play published games.
We've actually never had. Well, I mean, like they do play my games which are published. That's the thing.
Oh.
Yeah, but I do want to say that I don't think so far we've had any issues in TTGDMY with playing games in progress. You know, but I feel like that's also why we haven't had an event where we play games that are done.
Yeah, I mean, Alpha Meet is.
Oh, we have played once before. I organized one. The Traders of it was Traders of it's not Traders of Osaka. Fujian Trader. We did that.
Was that published?
It's published.
By who?
I think it's indie. I think.
Malaysian?
No.
Then doesn't count.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm gonna shut you down
No,
there.
because you were talking about playing public games.
Yeah. Then those are just regular board game meets, I feel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
mean-
we
I
had
mean, yeah.
that meeting was because it was very early on for Alpha Meets. We just did it to just like break down the game.
Was this the one you invited me to, but I said I didn't want to go?
Maybe it was quite far. It was in KL.
Yeah, I definitely didn't want to go.
Okay, just before I get back, on that, right, Mark online said giving complimentary copies to playtester, he went, really man, I think at most they have a lucky draw.
Yeah.
Okay lor.
It'd be insane if you had to give
Or
a...
like a special discount.
Yeah, I think like for just general playtesters, it'll be quite difficult because like you play once and then you get a free board game. It's quite onerous.
I like from my perspective as a role-playing games designer, right? Most of my games are like 3-4 pages. They're literally just paper with really good printing sometimes. Let's say I had like 10 play testers at Alpha Meets this last Alpha Meet, right? It would have costed me about probably 10-13 ringgit if I had to like give off the really good quality stuff. In terms of sales, right? I'm not talking about cost of bahan. I'm talking about sales because I'm losing potential money here. I would never do that. You know, I'd rather just sell the thing. So yeah, and I mean like also like the designer do what they want, no? So yeah. So again, like maybe the answer is just what can TTGDMY do to assist, right? Not to modify. So I like. In my opinion, I feel like the best thing you can do on everything that, you know, in terms of how to guide people, how to also tackle your shyness issue, I feel like the best thing TTGDMY can do to assist is just set up systems. So things like an usher at Alpha Meets.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, you go yes, huh?
No, I've always wanted to do it, but like
We don't have the people.
We don't have the
Yeah.
people. We need more people to step up.
I think the best representative artifact, like metaphor for this, right? The best representative system is literally you, like what you did at last Alpha Meet, which is that they put triangular standing papers that told people what game it was at each table. That was like 100% better than last Alpha Meet. You know, that is the prime example, which is something that's low effort but super helpful and doesn't interrupt anybody.
It's not low effort.
It's not low effort, sorry.
Not that
Low cost.
Okay, yes.
Lower cost than having to use like an actual autonomous human being to do it. You know.
Or you can get all the playtesters to bring their setup and put it there too.
Their own
Make it
display.
fairer.
Yeah. And I feel like if you do that, you can also do follow-up systems. So things
Yeah.
like workshops. Again, like this is also what we talked about in the thread. Like we want workshops to teach how to do things. So maybe instead of saying, hey, if you want to play test, you should just nut up and do it, right? Rather than saying that and gatekeeping people, it should really just be about, hey, this month we're going to have a 1-hour workshop where you come in and we tell you how to hold your own playtesting session.
Yeah.
And then say beginners welcome.
Yes.
Yeah. But I do want to point out right now, none of us are going to do this.
Yes,
right now.
like just
None of us are going to do this. Raise your hands if you don't have time. If you don't have time, raise your hands.
Just
don't
do
have
a
time, man.
video and then show it. You don't have to do it.
They can
Don't have time.
Raise your hands if
Video
you have,
instructions.
raise your hands if you have time to make a video.
raise your hands if you have the
Raise your hands if you have time.
if you have the
I don't have-
if you have the gumption to just go and do it. Like
I don't
I'm just
have
gonna
ability to
For
do
the
so.
No matter who I am,
I'm not up for
First
it.
timer also
at
just
all,
go.
actually.
Yeah. Like so me and Samwise Mui, we like I'm Swords and Flowers, he's Bubblegum Sam. We both already hold workshop series in public. You know, in conventions to do these things, to teach you how to do game design. And I will tell you right now, we don't like it's not that that's a whole other thing. But like we legitimately will not have time to help TTGDMY ourselves. Like I'm not saying we don't want to, but right now in our present lives we cannot feasibly muster the time. Right? I have a job. I have job. I make money.
Samwise is also busy with a job.
Yeah,
Multiple jobs.
like we also have human lives. That's
Yeah.
the thing. And here's the thing: it's not like it's not like TTGDMY nor the community. We have never came to a consensus to compensate anybody to do this, right? And it's not that I'm saying we can't, but maybe we should start lah.
We should institute a donation system.
Well, that kind of segues into
Yeah, I think we'll bring that into the next
yes.
discussion. Then.
Well,
Okay.
we'll talk about that later.
Okay. And so, do we have anything else we want to talk about community interaction wise?
Yes, actually we do. Just a few more things from the online chat, right? So let's see. Mark has actually a couple of good comments. Mark Williams, he's based in Singapore, but he's also, I think, Sarawakian, correct me if I'm wrong, Mark. He says, let's see. First one, he in reaction, I think to your comment is that yes.
Which comment?
One of which is like the length of a game. He says that you can actually play test in chunks. You don't have to play test your entire game.
That was my idea.
Yeah, asynchronously, right? Yeah.
I think with asynchronous, you might be confused with the idea that you have different players playing at different times rather than.
They finish one chunk, the next play. Well, up to the designer lah. You
Yeah.
want to start next chunk, you have to restart the game. Up to
Yeah.
you.
So maybe it's not about telling designers to do that as much as teaching designers they can.
Yeah.
Teaching them how to plan their game. That's all. But we can't tell them how to. I mean, you can tell them details, but it's part of game design, right? To
Yeah.
be able to break up games.
Yeah.
Even if you play video games, you break it up. You don't always spend like 6 hours playing one game, right? So.
Maybe there's also the expectation to set like what do designers go into the alpha meet with, what kind of expectation are they having, and what's the level of expectation they should
Yeah,
set?
I think that should be important.
Yeah.
Maybe for a future alpha
Yeah.
meets organization, should
A lot-
say what is the objective of this specific alpha meet, and would they meet the designer's expectation before they volunteer to?
Yes.
A lot
play
of the
test?
knowledge within TTGDMY is also very informal. We have copy, we have minutes, but it's very informal. We don't have textbooks, we don't have guides, we don't have solid resources that are easily handed around. We don't have zines, we don't have pamphlets, and this is coming from a person who is within that kind of industry. So in role-playing games industry, I can definitely say in comparison to the board games industry is that in the board games industry, there's a really huge lack of I don't want to say spirit because it sounds pretentious, but kind of like analog mindset, I guess, or an analog culture is better in role-playing games, because it started from like really garage style business kind of mindsets. So a lot of people there are very into the idea of making zines and knowledge sharing with paper and proper solid copies of things. I feel like in board games I've never seen that. Not even in Malaysia, because Malaysia has a very strong zine culture. I've never seen it in America, I've never seen it in the UK, I've never seen it in any part of Europe. If it's role-playing games, I'll see it everywhere, but not in board games. Everybody kind of just makes their products and they share it. And this is really just a statement, not a comment anymore. It's because board games started and evolved into a very highly business-leaning and focused kind of thing. It's very entrepreneurial. So there's a flip side to that, which is that knowledge sharing is seen as a problem.
So it's like maintaining your trade secret.
Yeah, you want to maintain your trade secret, but also not even that, right? Sometimes you're just paranoid. I've seen this. This is in nobody in particular. I've seen this happen with board game designers in general, in forums, on Twitter, on other parts of Facebook. Everybody has this sort of like thing where they're trying to scout out what each other are doing, and I can't say that's a bad thing, because obviously we're all fighting for shelf space. If all of us suddenly competed for border shelf space, right, we'd be at each other's throats right now. I would say that immediately. Nothing's gonna stop that. It's not a bad thing. It's just reality.
Borders.
Yeah, that's popular. Okay.
Okay, popular then you talk.
Let's go. Right, you don't want to fight. Also, I will be scared to fight, man. I will be like, oh no. Yeah. Like if I can say also like immediately, right, if every single role-playing game designer in Malaysia right now wants to go to a bookstore and sell their stuff, right, we would fight. Well, not angry fight, but we would definitely be competing. The difference is that in role-playing games, there's a culture of the pool is so niche, there's no point competing, because like how much money you're gonna fight each other for anyways, right?
$10.
Yeah. Hey, just because it's true doesn't mean you can say it. Okay? No, I'm just kidding. But role-playing games definitely make a lot of money. It's okay, trust me. Give me money, please. But I do want to say in board games in general, there is a culture of like, you can definitely see it, right? Like I don't even need to say it also, like definitely, if two designers on the table right now were to go to Popular and put their games up, there's immediately tension. Not that you're going to hate each other, but you're going to be worried about random stuff. A lot of paranoia coming in and stuff like that, and it tends to sabotage things for yourself.
Money.
Money, man, money corrupts. But money is so nice.
I guess you cannot draw an analogy to that to local publishing culture, right?
That's
we're talking about you mean like
I wish
normal
Naja was here.
like book publishing.
Like books or not
We-
just books lah, but any kind of printed material.
We do have a person in the community who can talk about that, who is Naja Yusof, who works for a publishing house in Malaysia, but she's not here, so yeah.
Can I just read off like a couple of comments as well? Okay, Mark also suggested make TTGDMY seal of approval. Once a game is published, that means it's been play tested and approved by them.
Hands up if you all feel worried about that statement. I'm worried, man. If
It's good branding.
No, man.
But like
I credit TTGDMY.
Yeah,
who is
from my
gonna
rule
be
book.
the-
At least we have like
we don't have a mechanism for
review
that.
channel or
around.
something, then we can
Yeah.
do the
Yeah.
seal thing.
Okay.
It's like the board game
Oh, have a
wiki sort of thing.
TTGDMY
No, it's a
review
good
channel.
idea.
Who's gonna build the
Right.
camera?
And
Designers, not
Then the
reviewers.
seal is gonna be more powerful, you know.
I am-
If we have a review channel sort of thing.
Francis Chio, he's a community leader. We can also have an annual award night for best local game awards. I think Francis, that one you do lah. You're better at that.
Sorry.
He's
A local
suggesting
award
local
night.
game awards.
Oh.
I think no. Designers cannot comment on designer
Yeah,
other
we can't.
people's designers in
Yeah.
public.
So
Just shoot yourself in the foot.
so
Yeah.
I
far away from
yeah,
that.
it's far.
No,
So
not many projects.
I
But
will.
SIGG has awards, right?
Yeah,
What?
SIGG is the awards. Yeah.
SIGG.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
but
there
they're
are
coming.
awards there.
From
I think there's a committee there,
Mm.
and it's backed in the university, and it's not like it's what's his name, Shanizan
Shanizan.
going like,
Yeah.
I like your game, I don't like your
I
game.
And-
it
and-
just,
like,
it just opens it up for,
Yeah.
And
for people to
TTGD and
participate.
TTGDMY people have been on that committee
Yeah,
before
yeah.
for SIGG. I will speak of this from a role-playing games perspective again, in a scene that has developed its own award nights. TTGDMY seal approval, I will go around the table after I say this, yeah. I will say that's a security problem also, because the moment you do that, right, what does the seal mean? And do we have the power to give that seal? Yeah, because your immediate, like, I do want to say, the seal approval looks amazing market-wise.
Yeah, that's.
But ecosystem-wise, it's bad.
Mm.
Because you're immediately telling every other person out there, you don't have the seal, your game cannot sell.
That's like starting
You
a
are
guild.
you are immediately setting another gate. You are
If
immediately
you do
putting
that, at
another
least
gate.
TTGDMY will become a guild.
Yeah,
It's a
you
guild
will
already.
literally. So we will go from a trade union to a trade company. Yeah.
It's a guild, literally.
Yeah, we will be a privatized guild. It would not be fun. I'm saying this from a perspective of role-playing games designer right now. I've seen this happen with publishing houses where they went from where they used to be a union, right? They're cooperative, become a guild. Oh, it did not play well for them. Solely because
Or did not read
money is
well.
involved,
Did not
right?
read well.
it did not read well. It did not go well. Mostly because the entire role-playing games industry was immediately saying this is not good because you're literally changing the ecosystem from a good one to a bad one, and everybody was like nope. And then the seal program immediately got vanished. Yeah. I'm not even saying that we can't try, but I am gonna say that if you try, I can 70% say it won't last, and people will start complaining, because I tell you here, yeah, all of us are busy. The last thing you want to do is you want to go through a 2-month application process for TTGDMY to give you a seal. A community that's run by currently one guy, yeah, who is very tired, very stressed. So you can imagine the pressure is under here.
Just go find yourself a bunch of admins first. Don't go so far.
Where do
Start
you
with
find
that.
that?
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? Like we that's the thing, right? The moment the conversation happens, then we say, who do we hire to do this? How do
Unless-
we turn this into a corporatized process?
Unless the judge is not part of us.
Oh, he's a
It's
robot.
public.
A robot.
Yeah, let's
Who?
say
Who? Mahati?
But I still think it's not a bad idea lah, but
Anybody who suggests an
It
idea
can't be
will
from
be
within
but still it goes back to the question, what does that seal represent?
What does it mean, right?
What does it
Like
mean?
I do want to say right now, currently in Malaysia we don't have any seals. But can you imagine if SPM suddenly say
No,
you
we
must
got
have the
seal, Serim approval.
I mean,
Yeah, that's just sealing,
actually the
yeah.
seal thing is okay if you are like a review channel, you've reviewed the game, so we give them the seal. But when it comes to channel, then more money.
So
will
so
be
a
involved. Then
reviewing
it
I do want to say
becomes
a reviewing credit and a seal is a very different thing. A reviewing credit is just an opinion. A seal is a freaking label. It's a brand. It's a pop on your face already. So it's you're
Product
immediately
halal.
splitting people. Yeah, it's so this is what it's like. It's you have a passport, okay. Someone says you're a good man. Yeah, that's just a review. On your passport, race is not a review; it's a label. It immediately separates you statistically, and like all sorts of ways. And we can also see like how this has played out societally wise. It's not the
I
same.
mean,
Sorry.
for board game industry, I don't think the seal actually means that.
Yeah, right.
That heavy.
Yeah.
You know, it actually just mean that somebody had played a game, then they give out the seal as a. Because they approve the game, or because they
Dice
think
Tower
the game is good.
Wow,
So
Dice Tower
that's the
Sorry.
extent to the
That's
functionality of the seal.
Yeah.
But the only problem is when this seal, you want to make this seal mean something, then you need to have something around it, like a review channel or something. So when there's a review channel, then more money will be involved, then it will become something that you say just now.
And then it becomes a
From
business,
internet,
yeah.
become a business.
Yeah, and
Then
and
when more money is involved, then things might get
it's just
messy.
messy, yeah. Like I also do want to say, we say we want to seal approval, but we already have that, which is really just the star system on any sales channel. On any sales channel, on what's the one that everybody goes on, the BG something one, the official board
BGG.
game, BGG. On BGG, it is a globalized platform that tells you the weight of your game, as in how heavy it is to play, what's the difficulty, the star reviews, and it has reviews right there. You know, it's a centralized spot. And if you place the seal of approval, not only is it not going to get globally recognized, it's going to be functionally kind of useless. It's going to cost more. It's also, again, going to put a gate. Again, I do want to say, right, imagine if SPM suddenly say, if you don't have our SPM seal, your game is shitty. I can guarantee you 700 people in TTGDMY now will say, that's not true.
And so you need people to come up with requirements or something. To
Yeah,
deal with
right.
it. And need people who manage that.
And then you
thing
would
as
just,
well,
you
know.
would, because...
So who's gonna do that? That's another problem.
Not the
The Muay Thai.
Oh.
Not to mention, we don't know what the requirements for the seal means, which likely means you have to make up random things to make that seal worth something.
Yep.
And it would just make it harder. Yeah.
Okay, so seal.
Nah.
But since you brought up BGG, I think it's also good to support each other's games by
Yes.
by saying you own
Yes.
a set or giving a weightage, you know, helping with the stats. Because actually in BGG you don't it's by community input.
Yeah.
So before I went on it, or when I first started, I went to any Malaysian game, you know, and make sure that
You raise it,
yeah,
yeah.
I add in my
Yeah,
stats for it.
so this is also something that I need to say also, which is that even though, like, you know how we say the seal approval is useless? Technically, the 5-star rating system is also quite useless. I'm not saying it doesn't help, but from a ecosystem standpoint, right, it actually hurts designers because it's not about whether it's true or not, but really there's no 1 to 5, there's only 1 or 5. Because if you hit 3 or 4, right, you might as well be 1.
It's only 5.
Yeah, the only star rating that's worth anything is 5. This happens with role-playing games on itch.io as well. The moment you hit 4.5, boom, you're gone from the system. Because you get lowered below 1,000 games that are 5 stars. Yeah, so what happens is that there's a culture, everyone just ranks each other 5 stars. You'll see this a lot. Like if a game gets ranked 1 or something, right, it's likely because it's very, very terrible, or something happened, or people will just be like, why do you do that?
Review bombing.
Yeah, it's review bombing, or like it just doesn't help. And this will sound a lot like conspiracy, but that's just what it is, no? Yeah, like that's just the reality of it, which is that the system is mafan.
Mark's understanding is more of like a serum kind of seal of approval that it's been
Play
play
tested,
tested, iterated several times. Like I imagine like the
Play
process
tested
that you've gone through with us, whatever
Yeah.
process means that.
This is what I
How
try
can you
to
put
say.
weight to the seal? That's a problem.
Right, like does it mean anything?
I mean, the only way you can put weight to a seal
Unless
is you have.
the seal doesn't mean the game is good or bad. It just means come from TTGDMY.
Yeah, but how do
It's
you
not-
put
it's,
that?
it's really just marketing lah.
How do you want to put weight to the seal? The only way to put weight to the seal is you have reviews, you have actual playtest session that is recorded. And whatever.
It technically means
I
nothing.
think we have to
Yeah,
go back to
if
the
not, it
beginning.
really means nothing.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
you all
I-
went too much one side. Firstly, you decide, do you want
TTGDMY.
TTGDMY
Must say
to be
a
a
lot.
more formal setup, or informal setup, because they're going to put in all these things,
Yeah.
right? It looks like it's becoming formal.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
it's going to be formal, they decide, do you want to register as a society as what EJ has put up?
And now we're about to
If
go
you
into
don't want to
right?
do that, then there's no point discussing all these
So
things.
maybe it's better that we just take this and we put it to another meeting, no? In that
Yeah, yeah,
case,
yeah.
because I can guarantee that there are like 4 different people at this table who have very different opinions about what a seal can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might be a more different question,
Yeah.
like once we're incorporated,
For-
if we do choose
For
to
the
incorporate.
award night suggestion, I do want to say the Grammys and the Oscars, right,
They're all
have done
rigged.
nothing but
They
hurt
are
their,
rigged.
they have done nothing but hurt their own industry.
Very
Yeah.
rigged.
Yeah, they have done nothing but hurt their own industry. Role-playing games, which is one of the most community-heavy ecosystems and industries in the world, indie role-playing games, right? When the Diana Jones Award comes out, nobody is ever happy with the results. Everyone will be like, congratulations on winning. But whoever doesn't win, they'll be like, that's bullshit that it didn't win. And then it's just like, they didn't win because there was only one category for 10,000 games. That's not fair. And then the usual consensus is that awards mean nothing. Congratulations on winning, but losing means nothing.
Yep.
You know? So, yeah. I mean, I would, what do you guys think about award night?
I don't
I
watch
think we
them.
should go to the next.
Yeah.
No one's talking about it, huh? Yeah. We will bring it to the
in
next.
this topic, because I think the main thing that Hua Sang raised previously, right, is still not really addressed, is that where's the direction of TTGDMY?
That was my question. You want to go formal, you do informal. Because
In-
now you're
And which is
On
the next,
the
is
count, on
stay
the
away.
next on the agenda, right?
everybody on the count of 3 will stare at Jen, yeah? 1, 2, 3.
So what's the direction?
What's the
Where is it
direction?
headed, you know, who is
God.
it for?
I think we're supposed to discuss about direction,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's not- it
But
shouldn't-
both direct. So you want me to kind of say a few things about direction and
Shall we
incorporation?
move
yeah,
to the
I,
next topic?
I guess so. So there's
Yeah.
some discussion here. There's also still some comments as well. We probably didn't talk about as well.
How many people are there?
Should we at
right
least
now
like
4?
100.
make sure we
101.
read all without us trying to intercept, and just so that they can be heard. The comments that we have.
There's a lot. There's already some already.
Okay. Already
There's also
addressed.
some that is just like normal interaction that doesn't
Okay.
really need.
Eyeball emojis.
Mark has been talking a lot about what he means by a seal.
Okay.
Like,
What?
yeah, he also agrees that awards are worse than seals.
Yeah, they are, man. They really are.
But that might, I mean, it's that one. I think for me, awards personally, I would just leave it to the board game reviewers
Yeah.
and the external, that because they can
Yeah.
resolve that on their own.
Yeah.
Sorry for being a noob, but what the hell is TTR?
Huh?
TTRPG?
Ticket to ride, is it?
Table,
no.
What, TTR?
tabletop role-playing games.
Oh, role playing it. Oh.
Oh, that hurts so much to say.
No, Mark, you're not spamming because like these are all very pertinent and relevant comments.
Yeah, it's all important.
Um,
Don't be like Sam who put an eyeball emoji there.
Why Sam is here?
Sam,
Yeah, he is.
I don't know if he's still around.
I feel-
Sam, are you coming tomorrow?
Sam, your boss is talking to you.
There's stuff on setting up a win-win agreement between TTGDMY and whomever approaches the community for guidance. So it's more expectation setting. That's get people to sign on it. I don't think that's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
And Francis also mentioned. Give me a second. What is that? No, wait. Is it Francis? Give me a second. Give me a second. Give me a second.
For some reason, the comments are not loading on mine.
Now, Francis has also said that filtering members is pretty important as there are too many casual gamers that just join for the sake of joining, hence unable to meet the real objectives of this group. Maybe we need to have a better way to approach newcomers.
So we need more admins.
But what is the real objective
Yes,
of
that's
the
a
group?
good question.
I like again this we talked about this in the beginning, right? Which is that filtering newcomers doesn't really help because deleting members doesn't help in any way because they're not really
Hurting.
they're not hurting us. In fact, they're helping us because they share things.
Yeah.
Right.
Unless we know that
Yeah.
they're a spam
Yeah.
account.
So
like
Yeah.
again, maybe the real question isn't about how do we get rid of what hurts us when there's nothing hurting us, but really how do we get more of a certain something that's missing, which is how do we get more active designers?
Yes.
That's the real question. The problem isn't casual observers reducing active designers. If you have 20 active designers and you get 10 more casual observers, you still have 20 active designers, right? It's how you raise that 20 that counts lah, you know. Yeah, lor.
With that being said, right, sometimes some questions also I feel like I don't really want to answer.
Right.
I think like I see like the in board game design lab, they sometimes they ask community questions. Like I see very often one is like what are your design goals this week, or what are your design milestones that you've achieved this week. So I see some people are quite forthcoming, and I don't know if that's something that we also want to encourage in our community lah. What do you guys think? Because I think someone asked that before, and I don't know if I half wanted to post and half didn't want to post as well. I don't know if that to a certain extent I think that's good, because it kind of gives me more pressure to get back onto my design train. But on the other hand, I also feel like, why have I got to show it for my puny life?
It's okay.
People are number one on Itch.io, and I'm just like unpublished.
It's okay.
Oh,
This is your fault for spending 3 years on
who is
this.
number
I'm
one?
just kidding.
Who's number one on Itch.io, Ben?
Me lah. bro.
Yeah.
Right now. Hey, go on Itch.io and buy I'm Red. No, I'm just kidding. No, but seriously, pay money. I think we're also missing an aspect, which is what does it mean to be an active designer? Because here's the thing, if you say they become active designer, right, then that's not true, because there have definitely been people who are like a real designer is a person who can give design knowledge and can do workshops. Or like even I have held that perspective for like 2 years ago maybe, what a real designer was. And then now I'm just like, man, a designer can be anybody. So you know how you say you're an aspiring designer, right? I make a point in workshops to say there's no such thing as aspiring, because if you call yourself aspiring, it's not gonna, like again, I'm not saying it's a bad thing to do, but I'm saying it will hurt you in the process, because just call yourself a game designer. You're a game designer regardless. There's no aspiring artist. You can doodle a dinosaur, you're an artist already. It's fine, you're valid, you know. There's nothing holding you back.
Yeah, it's the same advice I give to writers as well. If you want to write, don't say aspiring writer.
Yeah, it sounds like scolding, but it's a form of knowledge passing, you know. So like stuff like that kind of gets lost in the process of saying we want more designers who are active in the community, because what does that mean, right? You've had a game that you've been developing for years, don't cry, it's valid, right? I've released games that, I will say this right now, yeah, this is no trade secret, I have games that I released I've never played tested before, that I was just like, zoop, if it sells well, it's okay, you know? I make games in like 5 hours, 2 days, stuff like that. I specialize in micros. Choon Ean here has a game that has been the most heavily play tested, probably by ratio among all of us here in a few years, you know.
No, it's less than 2 years.
Less than 2 years, yeah, right. Like, whoa, man. From Penang, some more culturally relevant and blah, blah. And then we have lurkers, and then we have newbies, and then we have people with their own projects, we have people who work for institutions. What does that mean when you say you want an active designer, right? And a lot of people right now are going to chime in and say like, oh, here's what an active designer is, but my perspective is there is no such thing, you know? You can't say what an active designer is.
Maybe the question is not about who's an active designer
Yeah.
or what it is, but it's more of like, what do designers who want to join the group expect out of the group? And
Yeah.
what is the group
Yeah.
or you
Expecting
know,
out
what is
of
the what does the group expect out of them?
Yeah.
Like, and vice versa.
Because I do want to point out, and this is something I want to call out, which is that every time I hear this, it really just sounds like the people who are saying this just say, I want more friends. I don't know how to make friends, or where do I make friends? I'm not saying they suck socially, but like, where is the system for me to meet more people within Alpha Meets?
But
know?
is that what the group is meant to
Right, yeah.
to do,
Right.
or is that what
So
they
maybe it's time to go back to our constitution, or whatever founding documents we have.
Can you give us the detail on when this was made first?
Right, so this was also about 3 years ago, a little bit after KotaCon, was it 2016?
KotaCon 2016. There was no 2017, it died in
Right,
2016.
so I think we met sometime in the founding 8 members.
February 2017,
Yes.
the founding 12 members.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we came up, or rather, I think Gray was the primary author, with a mission statement and a manifesto.
that we never updated.
Yeah, but we didn't need to update.
Yeah, right. It was kind of just kind of sat
Maybe
there,
it's time
right?
to update it.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
these
so
things-
for context, right? Me and Jen are among those founding members. I've never been on any important positions on TTGMY, I don't think. I just been
there are no such thing as
Positions?
important.
yeah, no, I mean like I've never been admin, never
Oh
been
right.
moderator.
I think back then we did appoint a couple of like
Moderators,
roles. Like Gray was external communications.
Yeah.
I was internal communications, and then something. One is that Fidaus was supposed to do like internal development.
We had like a 5-man roster
Yeah.
that rotated on alpha meets. In 1 month, everything dissolved because everybody was busy, you know. Yeah.
So let me just read out the important bits, right? Mission statement is to provide guidance and support to tabletop game designers in all stages of development, nurture a community of designers around locally developed or produced tabletop games, and 3, expose Malaysians to the tabletop gaming industry and community.
There's more.
There's more. The next one it is
An association, yeah.
an association of tabletop. We are an association of tabletop game designers. We aim to connect tabletop game designers in all stages of development with each other and the general public. Cooperating and combining resources and knowledge, we hope to build a thriving community around the designers, their games, and their enthusiasts. Working together with local communities, we hope to raise the awareness of board games and tabletop gaming as a healthy hobby for Malaysians from all walks of life.
Oh my god, I remember crying at the amount of commas we put in. So
So,
many stuff.
Uh,
It is a good constitution.
Is it even a constitution? But
Yeah,
okay.
the
So in the
American.
manifesto, that repeats itself as well. But it also says our activities, which is monthly alpha meets, which are no longer monthly, and annual BetaCon. This is more aspirational. So the Facebook group initially came from BetaCon, which I think Jared and maybe Nicholas and Sefu had
Yeah,
added.
it came
right?
from BetaCon and
Yeah.
CotaCon and VEGE weekend.
So annual BetaCon is a showcase and recap all games that were featured at various alpha meets and to host large-scale playtesting on the above, and to connect industry experts and community leaders in the Malaysian general public. So it's basically
Wave, yeah.
like spiel. And Gamma Waves are launch parties and invite press, friends, family to show support and solidarity.
Press friend families.
Yeah, basically like the larger public lah.
So I guess we could fall back on mainly the core of the constitution that you guys
Thank
as
you,
the
founding
founding
members.
members built up, right? Because ultimately it's like this has to be sort of conveyed to the designers who join, like what does the group represent and why they want to be part of the group, right?
In summary,
So
lah.
yes.
Yeah,
In
in
summary,
summary.
because I don't think I did pretty.
Yeah,
pretty
Right,
well.
there has been a general kind of disconnect.
But
I
that's
think
the-
we can talk about that next time. We need to settle details on that first, yeah.
But that's the thing, right? It's like, why do I as a designer join? I join it because I'm just interested. I just want to know what's going on. That's my expectation of the group. I don't expect this or that in that sense, right? If you guys live up, if the group lives up to its reputation of start, conducting everything, then that's great. But from my perspective, is I just want to know what's happening. But maybe different designers have different expectations, right? So maybe that's the thing that needs to be addressed, because maybe some people expect the group, you have to do this for us, you have to do that, or some people, have something else.
It's never expect what people can do for you, it's what you can do for the group.
It's not that kind of group, yeah.
I don't think many people expect that lah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also do want to say, with a lack of moderators, we don't really have anybody who can sculpt our culture. Not that we can control what people say, but it's like we don't have anyone who's saying, hey, we want more of this discussion, less of this, like thankfully so far we haven't had resellers. That's been like just a heavy cultural thing, no resellers. But we don't have anyone who's like, hey, less promo posts, more design questions. We don't really have any of that. Because I can say right now, like my primary thing with TTGDMY has always been, I just go there and I make a game and I just put there, I'll just say, hey, buy my game, or hey, look at my game, tell me your feedback, or I'll just make a meme. Yeah.
Right. So that's how you're using the group in that sense, right? Not to say that you're using it, but that's how it functions.
Yeah,
for
like
you at
that's
the
my
moment, right?
relationship with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think like, what does the group want? You know, does the group want more of Ben, or does the group want more of this or that? Right? Where? So how do you promote that?
Yeah.
That's where probably what the discussion is
Yeah.
about, right? Today.
And does the group even want to come to a common consensus, or do we all just want to run our own thing? You know.
I think it's more to mentor.
Own thing, you mean? Sorry, my brain's not working.
The latter, yeah, the latter.
I mean, whoever wants
Don't
to
worry,
do
we got two
something.
brain cells here. It's okay.
The thing just means that whoever wants to do something in the group, they should be the one to initiate it and run it, and not like wait for someone to do it for them.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, definitely.
You want more things, then you be involved in doing it.
I feel like
start your own meetups.
Yeah, I feel like the biggest thing right now that I notice in this conversation is that there's a huge lack of entry knowledge. You know, like teaching people, letting you enter. Alpha Meets is not entry. I'm
Yeah.
being serious. Alpha Meet is a veteran event. You need to learn how to booth. You need to learn how to control your crowd. You need to learn how to socialize. You need to learn how to pull people. Especially, you need to learn how to organize yourself with communicating with one person who is very busy most of the time. Not your fault.
Yeah.
Oh, I just remembered that the first time I was like, wow, there's a group of tabletop game designers in Malaysia. That's quite cool.
Good.
And then I remember spending time. I watched through and there were 2 videos of you guys meeting in the
Oh my
in
god.
the early days on YouTube. I remember watching
Okay,
them and like, oh, that's very helpful. You know, it really opened my mind to like what else can one
Yeah,
do
it
in
was
design.
literally just videos I took with my phone where I just went left and right, and then
And I
would
thought that was
fade-
like really,
we
really
did
helpful for
fade
me.
we did fade transitions, and then you hear like the dong, da, da, dong, da, like stop music in the back, and you'd be like, yes, look at this precious real estate. Yeah, but like that was useful for you.
Yeah, I mean, for someone who like, okay, there's a bunch of people out there and they're talking about stuff that.
Oh yeah,
that
we had the
gives
one where
inform-
we were talking in tabletop.
It was
In
some-
Street Petaling one, blue color logo.
I just remember it was an office. I don't know who was office.
It was like a cafe one. Remember the one where
There was
Nick
a
was
cafe
there?
one, there's an
You were
office
playing
one.
Corruptico for the first time.
I know we did. No, this was a discussion.
Discussion,
Yeah,
oh.
which was like quite.
Also a
quite-
video. Like something like we recorded like this.
Yeah, no.
I don't know whether it was
Was
live.
it a
but it's
lecture?
on you. No, it was people sitting around a conference table and talking about
About
what
games.
they're doing
Oh.
and you know what's helpful. Yeah.
Okay, I don't remember this at
I think,
all.
we're too,
Okay.
I think we're too old already at this point.
My
It's been 3 years.
But it must be out there somewhere still.
Yeah.
Probably. I just checked
In our media tabs.
video list is not there.
It's,
We only
I
have 2
think it
videos.
could be on YouTube.
Yeah.
It was quite long.
the
I sat through the
grey-
entire thing.
Did Gray started a YouTube channel for TTGDMY?
No, we didn't.
You didn't,
It was somewhere. I remember it was.
But we've given talks under TTGDMY.
It's not a proper talk. It's just a discussion around a table.
Okay.
That's
A
weird.
boardroom kind of thing.
Your place,
Your
No.
old office.
Oh,
No,
No, it wasn't
This
his
was
place.
when Julian Baru joined.
Was it at
Was it
C4?
pictures instead?
Was there something at C4?
Not that I
No.
remember that we.
Okay, no.
Never mind,
This
okay,
is
never mind.
Okay.
during
I
stuff,
guess
yeah.
if you want to get through all these things, like getting different moderators to be in charge of different things, from newbies to whatever that's needed, I guess the easiest way to do that is, I guess, to incorporate that TTGDY institute membership fees and then use it as paying allowances. Because otherwise you're working purely on voluntary,
Yeah.
and people may or may not volunteer their time. Might be last in the priority list. So depends how far you want to go with that. I mean, I can come from a perspective of somebody who's in many professional organizations before, and and these are people who are in those society because it helps them in their profession. But even that is still very hard for them because it's one of the many things that they have to do. But it was helped by the fact that they do have membership, so they are able to hire coordinators to help in certain things. Like even my project right now got coordinated. So
Yes,
this is something actually worth, well, I have multiple coordinators for different things. So I think it's actually worth considering if the members in TTGDMY,
TTGDMY.
Maybe we should.
See, this so like this is how you know a person has been a member of like
Yeah,
TTGDMY.
TTGDMY,
Should
it's like-
just
it's like
workshop on
just-
how to pronounce TTGDMY.
After a while, it just comes out from your tongue.
I mean, it also should be noted, right? We are in a very precarious situation because we are kind of in a weird kind of like passive blank slate, because over the years people like we have like 8 people from the original founding members who have not disappeared, but they've gone and do their own things. They moved to different careers. They're not here anymore, and as a result, we're kind of in this kind of like incubating blank slate.
Yeah, I think that's normal.
Yeah.
I guess the good thing about having a society is that you can always have a turn of fresh blood.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to be doing this for the rest of your life.
But
At some
also
point you
do want to
retire
say
from it.
this puts it in a precarious situation where the next decision will affect the organization as a whole forever, right? I mean, I make it sound very, 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 heavy, because I feel like it is. Because like if you grab 10 random people right now from the community, right, there's no telling whether they'll represent all of us accurately. Not to mention, like, let's say we hold an AGM, right? If we only get 10 people, 20 people, right, how can we be confident that we are moving in the right direction? And
I don't think you will even know, even if you are not incorporated.
right, we can't even know if we are. The lesson today is that running a group of people is very difficult.
It is.
And it makes you want to cry.
I mean, I retired from all these things already, but I used to do a lot of these things pretty actively as well. When I was much younger. And I would like, my day it was running mailing lists basically to organize things. We do a lot of like meetups and organization stuff, but maintaining the momentum is very hard. People kind of like just fade away.
And then you
after a
just make a
while.
new organization.
Yeah, you can make a new organization, but the thing is whether you want to just keep restarting or you want to just, have it progress and evolve along the way. I think it's normal. I mean, there have been associations that last. I mean, it will go through its ups and downs. That's pretty normal. Anytime there are human beings involved, there's always ups and downs. But I guess the point is, it's fine. I guess association also allows you to, in a way, chart new directions each time if you're not happy with the one that you have.
Jen was going to read a comment.
So,
A little bit.
So what was our next topic? Our next
Right.
topic.
So next topic is
Yeah.
incorporation. So let's transition to our next topic, since like there are a lot of do you want to recap what we just talked about? Firstly, my takeaway is that we probably need to appoint more new admins and new mods.
That is true. So like one of the big problems that I think we can bring that to the next one. Really.
Yeah.
That's obviously.
But when you do that, you need to give an
do a
orientation and.
I think that's fine, but like at least the details we can sort out later. But like I think we can at least agree now that like we probably just need more new moderators because
do a CFA
Okay.
and CFM.
let's go into let's do a 5-minute summary read, and then we'll take a 5-minute break.
okay,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, my eyes are also like tired already. Okay, we came in today to talk about 2 particular topics. One was about our very first topic was about community interaction within TTGDMY. In particular, the question we came up to and agreed upon talking about was, how do we feel about the community interaction situation within TTGDMY, and how can we improve upon it, or how can we add to it? Okay, we got many new perspectives. For one, lurkers and new members feel like they can get what they want from the group, but also when they want to add things, they don't really know what to say and where they want to come in. Not everyone is available all the time either, whether they're veteran or new, and it might seem like sometimes we don't have enough members who are active enough to contribute to topics within our community. Therefore, interaction seems low. The topic of should we split our groups up was brought up. I think most of us kind of reacted with that's too much effort, or it's not really the route we want to go on. We also know that based on Choon Ean's experience as well, all our experiences, community interaction is incredibly beneficial for a designer. It's helped us play test better, give us more feedback, give us more information, give us a lot more progress on our games. So due to that discussion, we came to the summary of maybe the community interaction situation in TTGDMY shouldn't be focused on what is wrong with it, but rather how can we increase its access and make it more accessible, because we don't lack community interaction, we just lack a way to get it. Okay, so it's not about lack of community interaction, but about the access to it. If any of these words are complicated for you, I'm sorry, I'm operating on one brain cell and I was taught in private school. That means I only know how to speak English fancy, not correct. Sorry. Okay. We took a short kind of like 15, 20 minute, 30 minute maybe, kind of like a detour into a bunch of other questions by the crowd. Namely, people were asking, how do I play test my game outside of alpha meets? And how do I play test in a more formal way? We came to the conclusion of there is no formal way to play test your games in this community. There really isn't. Then we went through each and every single one of us. Kaki Lima or Chun Ean said that the best things that Chun Ean did was that she just asked the community on how, when she wanted to play test with them. She just asked. She did very select demos and play tests with select audience members from alpha meets. That was one way to do it. Yung Seng said that hosting your own play test is very beneficial, and that's what he did in his own office space. Ephone also, together with Ephone, we came to the conclusion that there's a cultural issue in alpha meets where there's not enough knowledge being said on how to hold your own playtests, and it's not really like the culture also kind of stops you from talking because again there's not enough kind of like entry for new members to be like, does a new member talk here, or does a new member talk 2 years later? When can I talk? Is it okay for me to ask? What do I even say? How do I ask? Right? Yeah. And then we kind of did another detour where we talked about how current alpha meets have their own problems, and Clarisse kind of said that in alpha meets there's kind of like a high standard and entry for difficult games. Should we lower it? Should we modify it? How do we change the crunch of games? Blah blah blah. And really there were 3 things came up. We should have rotary admins and curators for the page if we want to do more alpha meets. That's one. Put into consideration, we didn't talk much about it. Second one, alpha meets has issues with guiding people into games and guiding them through games that have high difficulty. And to combat that, the first suggestion was maybe we should just run asynchronous play test, which means we play in chunks and people can jump in anytime. And the response to that was, at least all of us came to an agreement sort of, was that TTGDMY isn't really here to modify and tell a designer how to play test the game. We're only here to assist, so we can't mess with it too deeply. But we can assist them in very simple, low-effort ways. So the best example was the nameplates we had at the last alpha meet, right? Really simple assistance that help people make their experience better and guide messing with their actual games, because we're not designers, they are the designers, they make the decision. So maybe things like teaching people more with workshops on how to run a good playtest, or maybe having ushers at the games, small things like that. We would table that later on. Then 2 more things were suggested by Mark, right?
Mark Williams.
Mark William about things that we can do, exciting things that we can do. Seal of approval was met with a lukewarm reception. We came to the conclusion it's just much better to teach everyone how to review our games on
leave it to the reviewers.
Leave it to the reviewers on BGG. We already have systems for that. Award night was also put up, and it's an exciting suggestion, exciting in prospect. In history, not so. None of us were really into it, and the conclusion that Mark came up with was also that awards are way worse. So yeah.
It's quite amazing that you had just a few lines and you managed to like go in.
Oh man,
So,
when you're 20-something-year-old working for 50-year-old people in your job, right, you learn. I'm not talking about my current job, I'm talking about my old jobs. Oh, I'm gonna get fired soon later. Oh, no, just kidding.
You regret saying that 30 years
Give me money, everybody, so I don't get fired.
Wait, how does that? So you mean?
If you give me money, I won't get fired because I can show my boss I got money. No, I'm just kidding.
Why don't you ask your boss for more money?
Yeah.
You want me to get fired?
I think he's meant to raise money.
Okay, everybody. Let's take a 5-minute break. Should it be 5 or 10 minutes?
I think we can say 5 and then it'll become effectively 10.
Okay, cool. We'll be taking a short break, and we will return here at 8:10. Thank you very much for coming, everybody.
8:10?
Is it a clock?
It's 10 o'clock.
10:10.
I might have to go.
Okay. Some of us may not.
It's like
Some of
2
us may not
hours.
be here later. Everybody, wave goodbye to the webcam. Bye. We'll be back at 10:10.
I won't be here. Right.
Bye.
It's late.
I'm so tired.
We overshot the.
Yeah, I thought it was
I was
10.
expecting we were 10.
Yeah, well,
Same
Is
also.
there like a very pressing matter that we need to talk about?
Came here and I sat down. I was like, Jen, you got a list of topics on no. I was like, ayo, die liao.
Is it on pause yet?
Wow, he got logo some more way.
Logo.